So the following is just a list of conservative reasons to vote for Andrew Yang. If any of these strike your fancy and you need more detail, please let me know in the comments section and I can go into further depth. So real quickly, unlike the other candidates, he's not in favor of raising the minimum wage. He's for nuclear energy. He recognizes the U.S. only contributes 50% to climate change. He has a very entrepreneurial past, where his entrepreneurial past actually was about building other entrepreneurs that build jobs. I think his policies would actually reduce the amount of abortions. He encourages family and communities. A lot of his policies you'll see are geared around that. He has ideas for the crumbling ghost malls that are starting to appear throughout the United States because of things like Amazon. The UBI proposal that he's actually giving, the freedom dividend, is actually originally proposed. It's more of a Republican idea, and the involvement of that would actually help reduce the welfare state. Only United States citizens would benefit from the UBI. Also, he's interested in doing democracy dollars, which is an idea that would actually flush out a lot of the lobbying involved inside of Washington, D.C., so that it doesn't matter what state you're in, the candidates would be interested in applying their interests and align them with you, because where the money is where the alignment's going to go. So we wanted to get lobbying, make lobbying undesirable. No political ideology or politics. He doesn't actually play the political game of like, oh well, there's just identity politics. It's all garbage to him. He said a number of times. He actually points out the political theater that we're running on one of the last debates. He mentioned how it's all just like a giant theatrical show where people are wearing makeup and have punchlines ready to go. I got a lot of praise for that. Trump supporters have actually switched sides. He recognizes that Trump was right about a lot of the problems that are facing the United States. It's just that Andrew Yang has 21st century solutions to those problems, and people who voted for Trump recognize those problems, and Andrew Yang sees those same problems and actually wants to address them. Now, he actually will follow the data wherever it goes. He's very data-driven. He doesn't care if it's a Republican idea or a Democrat idea. He doesn't say he's left or right. He's forward, and he actually tries to get away from this whole idea of whatever political party so-and-so is from or any of that identity stuff. He actually does a really good job of that, which I enjoy. He's in favor of sunset law. So if it's a really old, dumb law, why does it not have an expiration date? Why does it just stay on the books? So that's one thing. Interested in building a newer thing is he's interested in building a database of votes. If you're concerned about votes or who's voting what as far as within DC, what representatives vote for what thing, is actually interested in making a database so that we can quickly hold people very accountable without a lot of this. You have to really go into deep dives and research to find, okay, here's like a list of everybody and here's all the things they vote on or whatever. A lot of this is being done by third parties. The number one cause of divorce recognizes is related to economic strain, which we know is true. So in order to get the boot off of people's necks, as he would say, the freedom dividend is involved in that. He also recognizes that economic stress actually shows to producing poor choices, lower IQ. The freedom dividend would basically allow people more power in the marketplace. So if we're always talking about the idea that local communities and churches and nonprofits can provide some of these services, the thing is that right now, unless you have extra cash, not as much of that extra money gets to go to those resources. Well, with the freedom dividend, you now have an extra $1,000 a month that can help partially go towards or fully go towards any of those causes that you seem fit. And a lot of these communities, nonprofits, etc., can be seen as something that you have the time to do because you can offset that $1,000 from your workplace, so that you can contribute to a meaningful solution in your local church or in your local community, nonprofit, whatever. fill out tax. So taxes. We've been promised numerous times that taxes are going to be simplified, and that never ever happens. And there's a number of reasons for that involving the tax lobby, these tax company lobbies. But aside from that, what he wants to do is he says that they can actually, for most of us, 94% of us, most of our taxes can just be filled out with the information the government already has on us. So why not just have most of the tax form already filled out, or if not, just completed? So actually, for simplifying and automating the tax system, he's also in favor, because he's an entrepreneur and built jobs. He says he wants to separate healthcare from jobs. What this gives is a number of things. One, new companies don't really have to worry about the healthcare, which is really important, because why is in any way should a company be connected to healthcare? That doesn't make any sense. Not only that, but by separating it, what you're also doing is you're allowing mobility for the individual. Now the individual has the option, the option and the power to move to a different company and not have to worry about losing their health care, or jumping to a different company and being worried that the health care is not as good as where it came from, where they last were. So this gives the individual a lot more power to move around to where their freedom dividend makes the most economic sense, combined with their job, combined with the cost of living, and all these other things. Because of the freedom dividend would eliminate some of the necessities for a lot of the overhead, for the bureaucracy and some of the welfare programs. He's actually going to eliminate, streamline some of the different government programs, or combine them, because you don't need as many resources if it's not being utilized to its full potential. And X that last statement. It's just more, he's in the idea of streamlining multiple government institutions, eliminating them if unnecessary, or combining them if that's beneficial. So you want to shrink the role of all these other agencies and reduce that cost. He's in favor of that. He also wants to decentralize Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has become a focus point for for corruption. Everybody's there. Why is everything inside of Washington, D.C.? Why not spread it out throughout the United States? Why not make something like the Air Force Base in Florida? The Air Force Base in Florida. Why not have different sectors that are normally all assigned inside of Washington, D.C., why not have those spread out throughout the United States? Maybe one could be in Colorado, one could be in Florida, one could be in New York, whatever the case is. And then you've got something spread out throughout the United States, and that can bring different types of jobs, as well as just make the country as a whole feel a little more unified, instead of all of us versus Washington, D.C. The free market moving mobility, I kind of mentioned this already with the freedom dividend. The free market is empowered, because now basically people can choose. Companies can't exploit low-end level jobs. They would have to either pay more, or they would have to push ahead the automation process. In either case, there's options that that we will benefit from as the entire country, as opposed to just one company and a bunch of very disgruntled employees. He wants to remove the theater, the politics, all that garbage out of here. It's a waste of time. He actually mentions this idea of silly stuff like pardoning the Thanksgiving turkey. Like, why is the United States president wasting his valuable time on these kinds of things? Instead, what he has is this idea of appointing somebody, probably like a celebrity, like could be like an Oprah or The Rock or whatever, and they can do some of these more political just things that really have no purpose or important, are wasted time for the president of the United States. Financial literacy out of local colleges. I don't know if it's a tax deduction or a tax credit, but the idea is that Americans are not very financially literate, and we're not very big on being economically savvy. So to change this, because I wish that when I was in high school or middle school, actually, they should have already started teaching us things like mortgages, APRs, interest, compound, all that different stuff. So what they should have done is make us more financially literate. And because they didn't, a lot of Americans struggle with that level of financial literacy. So he actually is going to introduce the idea that to encourage people to take financial literacy at their local community colleges. It can be either a tax credit or a tax deduction. I can't remember which one it is. But the whole idea is that it's encouraging you to become better and smarter with your money. I mean, that's the government telling you, hey, we want to help you become smarter and better with your money. And also, here's a freedom dividend. Like let's get educated on this stuff. So it's also harder for renters to jack up the prices on you all of a sudden, or so the idea is that renters are like, freedom dividend, everyone's getting $1,000, let's just jack up their prices. The problem is that we are all still price conditioned right now, and it's just as simple as, because the money comes with us wherever we go, we can find a job somewhere else, maybe take a little bit of a pay cut, but the cost of living is less. This is going to change the entire demographic of the entire United States. People inside the city will move out of the city. People who are outside the city might be interested in moving into the city. You've changed the mobility of people because you've disconnected them with the necessity of being at a job specifically for healthcare reasons, as well as just because of the cost of where they live. Now they have the actual choice, and the American citizens can actually find out how best to go about providing for themselves, their family. If they want to build a business, they can set themselves up with better opportunities, and they have that kind of flexibility. And America can become very, very innovative, very, very just above all the other countries in entrepreneurship, and just really explode in a way that we haven't seen before. And we're not actually going to be scared of automation, and in fact, we'll actually be very happy about all the automation that takes place. We all benefit from it, as opposed to just a few companies, while the rest of us, slowly become less and less relevant while we get replaced by robots. So, anyways, these are conservative reasons to vote for Andrew Yang. I know I ran through a lot of them. If there are any specifically that you thought were interesting that I should make a video about, let me know, and I will be running through those. That's it. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.